Have you ever been told you're not qualified enough? That without a degree, you can't make a difference? What if I told you about a man who couldn't even write his own name, yet became the most beloved teacher in his village? In a small village near the mountains, Raju ran a humble tea stall. At 45, his weathered hands had served thousands of cups of tea, but they had never held a pencil properly. You see, Raju had never been to school, not even for a single day. When he was 7, his father fell ill. Being the eldest child, he had to work while other children studied. He carried the crushing weight of this secret shame every single day. Then one afternoon, everything changed. Young Arjun burst into the tea stall, tears streaming down his face. He had failed math again. Everyone called him stupid. He hated studying. Raju looked at the boy with understanding and offered to help. Arjun laughed bitterly. How could a tea seller help? He probably never even went to school. The words cut deep, but Raju smiled gently. Sometimes, he said, the best teachers are found in the most unexpected places. Without reading a single number from the textbook, Raju took 50 teacups and arranged them on the counter. He asked Arjun to group them in threes and count how many groups he could make. Arjun counted slowly. 16 groups, with 2 left over. Raju smiled. Congratulations, he said. You just solved division. 50 divided by 3 equals 16. Remainder 2. For the first time in Arjun's life, math wasn't just numbers on paper. It was real, it was everywhere, and it finally made sense. Word spread like wildfire. Soon, children gathered daily at the tea stall. The man who couldn't read taught fractions with roti pieces, geometry with floor tiles, percentages with customer discounts. But his greatest lessons weren't about math. When Priya felt bad about her dark skin, Raju asked her to taste 2 teas blindfolded, one from an expensive container and one from a plain jar. Both tasted the same, she discovered. Exactly, Raju explained. Like tea, a person's value isn't in appearance, but in their warmth and character. He was teaching something schools often miss: life itself. But here's what no one knew. Every night, after closing his stall, Raju would sit alone with old newspapers, tracing letters he couldn't understand, tears of frustration in his eyes. Master G, a retired teacher, discovered his secret struggle. In hushed sessions by candlelight, he taught Raju to read and write. At age 42, Raju finally wrote his first word, his own name, 4 letters that meant everything. The school principal, Mrs. Sharma, was furious when she heard about the tea stall classes. How dare an uneducated man teach children? She would confuse them. She challenged him with a complex profit-loss problem, knowing he couldn't read it. But the children read it aloud for their beloved uncle. Using his tea business experience, calculating buying costs, daily sales, and monthly profits, Raju solved it perfectly. His explanation was so clear, so practical, that Mrs. Sharma stood speechless. Would he consider teaching life skills at their school, she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Tears rolled down Raju's cheeks. The man who never went to school was being invited to teach in one. On his first day in the classroom, his hand trembled as he wrote Raju on the blackboard. This, he told the students, was the first word he learned to write at 42. It's never too late to learn, and you're never too unqualified to teach what life has taught you. The classroom erupted in applause. Students saw that learning has no age. Raju's classes became the most popular in school. He taught business skills through his tea stall experience, resilience through his struggles, and practical wisdom through real-life examples. Parents attended his sessions. Teachers sought his insights. A year later, Raju stood on stage receiving the Innovative Teaching Award on Teachers' Day. The audience gave him a standing ovation. In his acceptance speech, Raju shared his truth. He wasn't educated in the traditional sense, but life had been his university, struggle had been his curriculum, and every customer had been his teacher. Your experiences are your education. Your struggles are your strength. You don't need a classroom to learn, and you don't need a degree to teach what life has taught you. Years passed. One day, a well-dressed professor visited the tea stall with his young daughter. It was Arjun, now teaching at the university. "Uncle," he said with deep emotion, "this is my daughter Rajani. I named her after you, the man who taught me that wisdom doesn't require a degree." Little Rajani looked up with bright eyes and asked if Raju would teach her too. "Of course, child," Raju smiled, his eyes glistening. "Let's start with a cup of tea." Today, Raju's tea stall walls are covered with photos of doctors, engineers, teachers, all his students. At 50, he finally learned to read and write properly. But the truth is, he had been teaching life's greatest lessons all along. So I ask you again, do you really need a degree to make a difference? Or do you just need dedication, humility, and a heart willing to share what life has taught you? The teacher who never went to school became the greatest teacher of all. Because in the end, the best education doesn't come from textbooks. It comes from life, experience, and love. Remember this story the next time someone tells you you're not qualified enough. Remember Raju, the tea seller who couldn't read but taught an entire generation how to think, how to learn, and most importantly, how to never give up. Your degree doesn't define your worth. Your experience is your education. And sometimes, the best teachers are the ones who never stopped being students themselves.